All right, so are you ready to dive into the world of biotechnical technicians? We're cracking open RoleCatcher today, and, these sample interview questions, they're gold.
Yeah, it's not just about, spitting out answers. It's about showing them you're ready for the actual job, the skills, the whole lab scene, the impact you'll have.
Totally. So let's start basic. What does a biotechnical technician actually do?
It's more important than people think. Imagine, right? You're the one making sure those big experiments go right. You're the technical support in the lab, like the scientist's right hand, extra eyes, data whiz, you name it.
Okay, hold on. I'm already picturing the lab coat, jotting down notes. But seriously, that sounds like a career with some real impact, especially with how fast biotech is booming.
Oh, absolutely. The demand for skilled technicians skyrocketing. This interview could be your ticket to a career that's going
No
places.
pressure then. Huh. Speaking of, you flagged some tough questions from RoleCatcher. Let's hit those head on. First up, describe your experience with laboratory automation systems. What's the angle here?
They want to see experience. Have you actually done this stuff? What systems have you used, and what did you accomplish with them?
So just saying, yep, done that, isn't going to cut it. What would a really good answer sound like?
Be specific. Okay, say you've used the Hamilton Microlab Starlet. That's big for automated liquid handling. You wouldn't just say that. You'd be like, in my last role, I used the Hamilton Microlab Starlet a lot, for automated liquid handling. I'd set up and run protocols, troubleshoot if anything went wrong, and, make sure it was all maintained right.
See, that's way clearer. Now, RoleCatcher's AI, it can actually look at your answer and compare it to what works for similar jobs. You get feedback, like how to make it even better.
Exactly. It's like a career coach right in your pocket. Now, to make your answer really pop, think back to when lab automation was tricky and how you fixed it.
Oh, right. Challenges show you can solve problems.
Yeah.
So if you had a tough time with like a really thick reagent, you'd mention that.
Yeah. You could say one thing I had to figure out was a protocol for a really viscous reagent. I adjusted the pipetting speed and the needle size, and that made it way more accurate and efficient.
Now you're showing them you can think on your feet. Okay, question 2. What experience do you have with cell culture techniques? This feels pretty basic for biotech, right?
Oh, for sure. Cell culture is the heart of so many labs. They want to know you've got hands-on experience with it.
So they want to know if you've been nurturing those cells. What specifics do they want to hear about?
Think types of cells you've cultured, like mammalian, bacterial, or specific lines. What media did you use? Any special techniques, even challenges you overcame.
Gotcha. So let's say I've worked with mammalian cell lines. How do I work that in?
You could be like, during my research internship, I got experience culturing mammalian cell lines, specifically HEK293 and CHO cells.
Those names ring a bell?
Those are like the lab rats of the cell world, super useful for research.
Makes sense. So after naming the cell lines, I talk about what I actually did.
Right on. You'd say, I had to maintain sterile conditions, prepare the media, passage the cells, and I check their growth with a microscope.
Wow, that's detail-oriented.
Yeah.
It's amazing how something so tiny like cell culture can have a huge impact on research.
Oh, it's huge. And hey, don't forget, RoleCatcher can give you notes on your answer here too. It can even look at the job description you want and suggest ways to tailor your answer for that specific role.
That's seriously cool. Okay, question 3. Describe your experience with PCR and gel electrophoresis. Well, now we're getting technical. Can you give us a quick breakdown of what those even are?
Sure. Imagine you need millions of copies of a DNA piece. That's PCR, polymerase chain reaction. It's like a copy machine, but for DNA.
Okay, so where does the gel electrophoresis come in?
Think of it like a way to sort those DNA pieces by size, almost like a race. Helps you analyze the PCR results.
Interesting. So when I answer, I should explain both of those and then talk about my own experience using them.
Right. You could say, I've used PCR for different things like genotyping and gene expression analysis. I'm good at setting up the reactions, finding the right annealing temperatures, and then I analyze everything with gel electrophoresis.
Sounds impressive. What if something doesn't work right? Like my PCR fails or the gel looks weird. Should I mention that?
Definitely. Troubleshooting is huge for biotechnical technicians. It shows you can think for yourself and adapt.
So how do I talk about troubleshooting without sounding like I mess up constantly?
Make it a learning thing. Once I had an issue with non-specific amplification during PCR, but I redesigned the primers, tweaked the conditions, and boom, clear, accurate results.
Love it. You solve the problem and you learn from it. Okay, I'm already feeling more confident, and we're only on question 3. This RoleCatcher deep dive is the best. Let's move on to question 4. How do you ensure accuracy and reproducibility in your experiments?
This one's all about, are you detail-oriented, right? They want to see if you get that science needs things to be precise, consistent.
Like baking. If you follow the recipe exactly, same cake every time.
Exactly. Except in the lab, the stakes are a bit higher than a cake, right?
Okay.
So how do you keep your experiments accurate and make sure someone else could repeat them?
Well, I definitely talk about keeping really good notes.
Ye-
Like I write down everything.
Super important. Protocols, what reagents you used, when you observed something, all of that. It makes your results reliable and helps if you got to troubleshoot.
There's that troubleshooting again. Seems like interviewers love that in a biotechnical technician.
It's huge. Shows you can think critically and, roll with the punches. Both super important in a busy lab.
Okay, so how would I fit troubleshooting into this answer about accuracy and all that?
You could be like, accuracy and being able to repeat my work, that's like the most important thing to me. I do that by following protocols really carefully, using the right controls every time, and like you said, keeping detailed records of everything what I did, the reagents, everything. That way it's easy to troubleshoot if I need to, and it makes my findings way more reliable.
Right, so it shows you're organized and you care about quality. Okay, question 5 feels pretty current. Describe your experience with CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing. CRISPR is everywhere. It feels like it's changing how biotech works.
It's a game changer, for sure. CRISPR has opened up so many possibilities for editing genes. I mean, new disease treatments, engineering crops, you name it.
That's incredible. But what if I'm kind of new to the field? Haven't used CRISPR directly myself? How do I answer honestly without sounding clueless?
Honesty is always best. Instead of trying to fake it, show them you're excited to learn. Talk about any classes you've taken or even projects you've done that show you get the basics of molecular biology.
So I could say something like, I haven't worked directly with CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing yet, but I think it's super interesting what it can do. In my molecular biology classes, we learned about gene editing, and I'm definitely ready to learn more about that.
Perfect. And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you make that answer even better by looking at the specific job. If they need someone with hands-on CRISPR experience, it'll tell you to focus on other skills from your work that could be useful.
So helpful, like having a cheat code for the job hunt.
All right, next question. How do you stay up to date with the latest developments in biotechnology? Biotech changes so fast, how do I show them I'm on top of it?
It's all about showing that you actually like to keep learning, Mention journals you read, conferences, online communities, that kind of thing.
So not just, oh, I read a lot, but actual examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, it's important to me to stay up to date with what's new in biotech. I get journals like Nature Biotechnology and Science, and I go to webinars and conferences when I can, and I'm part of some online forums and discussions with other people in the field too.
Right, now you sound passionate, not just like you're checking boxes.
Exactly. And if you've actually used something you learned from those sources in your work, mention that too. It shows you can actually apply that knowledge. Good call. Okay, last question. Describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a technical problem in the lab. Honestly, this one makes me nervous.
Don't sweat it. It's your time to shine. Show them you can problem solve and think on your feet.
Easier said than done, right? What's the trick to making my answers sound good and show off my skills?
Think of it as a quick story. Beginning, middle, end. Set the scene. What was the problem? What'd you do about it? And how'd it turn out?
Okay, so let's say I was doing a protein purification, and I got way less protein than I should have. How would I start?
Start with that. During a protein purification, I noticed my yield was way lower than expected. First thing I did, I went back over each step, made sure I'd followed the protocol exactly.
See, that shows you're careful, methodical, not just trying random things.
Right. And walk them through your thinking.
So I'd say once I knew I'd followed the protocol right, I started looking up what could be wrong and thought maybe the buffer was the problem.
Nice. You found a possible cause. What next?
Time to be a lab detective. I'd say, so I made fresh buffer, ran the experiment again, and it worked. My yield was back to normal.
That's what we like to hear. But to really nail it, what'd you learn from that whole thing?
Gotta reflect on our mistakes. I'd say, that taught me to really pay attention, keep good records, and never give up on solving a problem.
Boom. You took a potentially bad situation and made it a good learning experience.
Feels good to have those stories ready to go, especially about troubleshooting. Now, I know we've been all about the interview questions, but back to RoleCatcher for a sec. It's more than just questions, right?
Oh, yeah, way more. RoleCatcher's AI can, supercharge your prep.
We talk about the feedback, but how's that actually work?
It's like having your own career coach going over every word, RoleCatcher's AI, it takes your answers and compares them to people who've gotten similar jobs. Then you get specific tips on what you said, how you said it, even using the right words for the industry.
That is wild, like a secret weapon for nailing the interview.
Exactly. And it's not about just saying the right thing. It's more like RoleCatcher helps you understand what each job is really looking for so you can tweak your answers to fit.
So you're still you, just like the best version for that specific job. That's genius.
And don't forget, they've got the CV and resume builder too. Same AI tech helps you write something that really grabs their attention, highlights the best parts of your experience.
Like your own personal marketing team, but for your career.
Exactly. RoleCatcher helps you put your best foot forward, from applying to interview, the whole thing.
Okay, we have covered so much ground today. Automation, troubleshooting, even CRISPR, it's a lot. But before we wrap up, I got to ask, we talked about all the technical stuff, but what about showing them, like, I'm really into biotech, how do I get that across?
Ask good questions yourself. It's a two-way street, right? This is your chance to see if the company's right for you, too.
Oh, good point. I've been so worried about them liking me, I haven't thought about that side. What kind of questions show I'm really interested?
What gets you excited about biotech? Is there a specific area of research you're into? Ask about their projects, what they're working on now, or what they want to do in the future. Maybe you love sustainability or improving health. Ask about their values. Do they match yours?
So not just the usual, what's the company culture like, but deeper, connecting it back to me.
Exactly. It shows you've done your homework and you're serious about finding a job where you can actually make a difference.
I love that. It's not just about getting hired, it's about the right fit, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I was kind of stressed about this interview, but this RoleCatcher deep dive has helped so much. I feel ready, even excited now.
That's what we want to hear. You got this. Your passion for biotech comes through. And with a little prep plus RoleCatcher's AI on your side, you're going to crush that interview.
I'm ready to swap these headphones for a lab coat and get started. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into becoming a biotechnical technician, and we'll catch you next time.